Welcome to In the Loop Lupus Live with Lupus and Color. I'm so excited that you are here tonight. I hope that you have been having a great week so far, and this hump day is going well for you. Today, we have another great lupus warrior to share her story. She's my walking buddy, so it's going to be a fun conversation. And I think you'll enjoy her story and understand exactly how much she has overcome to get to where she is today. Today, we are live streaming on YouTube as well as Instagram, and I will be monitoring both. So bear with me. But without further ado, I want to definitely bring up our guest, Kimberly Boddie. And let me figure out how to do this so I know what I'm doing. I'm doing it correctly. Let's go. Here we go. Hey there, Kim.
Hey, how are you?
I am pretty good. How are you?
I'm hanging in there for this rainy day in the great state of Maryland.
I know. It feels like rain just keeps coming and coming and coming.
Yeah,
It is kind of ridiculous, but I'm so happy that you decided to come on with us today. I love the purple hair.
thank you.
I highlights, girl. That's what's up. I love
My,
it.
I told my hairdresser I wanted to feel special when I received the Lupus proclamation for Prince George's County,
I
and this
love
is
that.
the hairstyle she came up with.
I love that's right, girl. She know what the deal is, right?
Yeah.
So I'm so excited that you're here. Let's start by saying, letting us know who you are, and tell us a little bit about how you came about having lupus and if you have any other comorbidities.
Okay. So, I'm a 48-year-old single Christian woman living in Prince George's County. We say Pretty Girl County here in
I
Maryland.
love it.
In 2020, everybody was learning about COVID. I was scared. A cousin of mine had been experiencing some symptoms around October, November, and we were wondering what was going on with him. Come to find out, he was a part of that first group that was learning about COVID before it was worldwide.
Right.
I started to experience some back pain after my primary care appointment. She told me, "Hey, you're morbid obese, high blood pressure, the usual thing." But I said, 2020, I want to have some clarity this year. I'm gonna lose the weight and do everything the doctor says. And then I started experiencing the back pain.
Mm.
And that I said, well, I had this pain before and it was fibroid related. So I said, I'll just take some pills and keep it pushing. I'm a strong black woman. I'll fight through it.
Right.
But I was scheduled for a mammogram the next week. So I went in for that and they said, yeah, your breasts look different from last year. We can't continue. We have to do a 3D mammogram. That tech isn't here.
Mm.
So I was on the campus of a hospital. So I said, I'm going to just go up to them and ask them what's going on with the pain. And after all their testing, they said low potassium.
Mm.
I said, They said, eat a banana. We're going to schedule you to pick up some potassium pills and you'll be just fine. I'm like, all that? Okay. So I continued on the line dancing because I love the line dance. And the pain just persisted. I couldn't stand up straight.
Mm.
My breasts are feeling really hard. They were turning black. It felt like if you put a tampon straight up in your breast, it was that dense.
Mm.
So I went to my primary care and she said, well, I think it might be breast cancer because the way your breasts are changing. She never even looked at why I was talking about my back hurt. She skipped right past that. So
Right. Right. Right.
moved into the breast cancer physician and she said, yeah, cancer doesn't hurt. Something else is wrong.
Mm.
So she referred me to a specialist in OB. So while I'm waiting in between that appointment, I'm still going to work every day.
Wow.
I went to work early and late so nobody would see the pain I was in. I don't drive, so I ride around here. We call it WMATA, but it's the metro and the bus. So
Right.
I was going in early and my HR director at the time, rest her soul, she passed.
Mm.
She said, you're a liability. You need to stay home. Do whatever you need to do to make sure you're okay, and I will handle it on this side.
Mm.
I'm an administrative assistant at a small women's college in DC, and I work with occupational therapists and nurses, and they kept saying, yeah, the pain you're talking about, that's like pregnancy. Yeah, I don't participate in them activities. Don't
Right.
don't think
Right.
that's happening unless it's a new book of the Bible out there that I don't know about. Now I'm a Christian and I teach Bible study, and I didn't hear about that missing book. But but one of my coworkers said it might be autoimmune, and I'm like, "What?"
Mhm.
But I was just so all over the place, I really didn't pay attention to that comment. So I go do the OB appointment. He sends me for more testing. Come back from that, he said, "Oh, I see what's wrong. You have a 5-pound fibroid that calcified, died, embedded itself in your uterus. Your body thinks you're 11 weeks pregnant, so your breasts are lactating." I said, "Excuse me?"
Wow.
Because that would mean that the staff at my job was correct.
Right. Right.
I
Exactly.
was
Exactly.
pregnant, so I was
Ooh,
floored. I was like, "Okay, so what are we gonna do next?" And he said, "Well, I don't do the surgery you need. I'll refer you to another doctor." That doctor was out of the country for a month.
okay.
So they said, "Well, find some people." So I'm on the phone calling people all up and down my street, like, "Can you
Right.
help me?" And they're all saying, "Well, we have to do a consultation first. You can't
Mhm.
just walk in and we do surgery." So I'm still in
Makes
pain, still in pain, still in pain. Week goes by. I couldn't get that appointment to for the next 2 weeks, so I'm holding on, trying, I'm popping pills, pop pills, nothing's working. My mom had bought me every butt pad we could find,
right.
just
Right.
trying to hold on because 'cause I'm like, "I'm a strong Black woman, I'm single, no kids, I can do this."
Right.
My mom is with me, but we've never experienced anything medically like this before, so we were just frazzled.
Right.
So, I got went to church. We used to get something to eat after church, got the food. I was sitting in my chair because I couldn't lay all the way down because
Mm.
my back was hurting so much and my breast was so heavy. I was showering with my bra on because I didn't wanna take it off because of the weight I had, rather
Mm.
large breasts at that time. So,
Right.
I was just having my little talk with Jesus, and I said, "I think I'm ready to come home with you because this pain here,
Mhm.
I know I wanna experience it up there with you." And at that moment, I called my mom to tell her goodbye because I'm the only child, and,
Wow.
I was calling to tell her goodbye, and she said, "If you hang up the phone, I'll kill you." At that
Okay, mother.
moment, it made me think of what love have to do with it with Tina and Ike, and then I thought, perhaps it wasn't meant for me to go because it made me laugh.
Right.
So,
Right.
I called, a friend of mine that works in the healthcare, and she said, "Just go to another hospital. You have to find somebody that's gonna listen to you."
Mm.
Another friend of mine just happened to be in the neighborhood. I called, I was like, "I need to go to this hospital now, because mind you, I don't drive. My mom is too frazzled, she's not gonna be able to drive." They
Right.
rushed me to the hospital. That hospital admitted me immediately because my blood pressure was so high. It
Mm.
was, like, almost 200 over 100.
Ooh.
So they admitted me. They're like, "Do you know about the fibroid that's in you?" I said, "Yeah, I do actually. Can you help me?"
I'm trying to
So
get this out.
they take me to ICU, they running all these tests because they're like, "What is happening?" So I have about a team of 8 doctors just staring at me, trying to figure out what to do first, what to address first.
Right.
And the first OB doctor kept pushing on me really hard. And I'm like, "Can you stop doing that? I'm in a lot of pain. You're not helping." But she was just very, just like nonchalant, gaslighting me, everything.
Yeah.
So I was speaking to my uncle on my father's side in Florida, and he called up to the hospital from Florida and got me an advocate. That's when I learned about advocacy.
Mm.
When she came in, we got a new OB doctor. But that doctor told me that I was too fat for the surgery. And she said that there are other women out here walking around with fibroids larger than mine. Get over it, go home, lose 20 pounds, and then come back.
What the
I
heck?
said, "Well, I guess you just want me to go home and die because the pain that I'm in is not helping." So my mom sent out the prayer chain, had everyone praying. The nurse came in and saw how distraught I was. She said, "Now you're on 3 different high blood pressure medicine. If we take you off the lowest one, it'll throw your numbers up and you can't leave." So
Mm.
she did that. Woke up the next morning to that OB doctor standing in front of me saying, "What did you tell them? You got people around this hospital saying bad things about me. I'm trying to help you." I'm like, "No, no, no, you weren't." So she said, "Well, a friend of mine has an opening in his surgery list. He can
Mhm.
do your surgery tomorrow." So I said, okay. Come to find out, it's the doctor that I had to cancel the appointment with because I
Wow.
was in the hospital. So I knew God was on it all.
Wow.
Because what I never met him. He just remembered my name because I have an odd last name.
Mm,
So do the surgery. He said, "You'll be back to line dancing in no time." I said, "All right, I can do this." Get the surgery.
mm.
Well, it was time to shut the world down for COVID. So
Oh,
they sent me home
yes.
3 days before the world shut down.
Wow.
While I was at home, they had found a lesion on my breast. It started getting worse. So I had a nurse coming every week to take care of me. My mom moved in with me, lived for me with me for a year and a half to take care of me. In
Mm,
my one-bedroom apartment, she was sleeping on my couch that my aunt and uncle bought me to upgrade so she could have somewhere to lay. So God was around it the whole time.
absolutely. Absolutely.
But as I went back in, when the world opened up, the breast cancer doctor said, you're gonna have to get a double mastectomy because
Mm,
the tissue is dying." So I said, "Take it, take it, take it." I done had the hysterectomy. What else is left? And she
right.
was like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Yes, I haven't had any children. Yes, they're concerned that they're taking my womanhood away from me. Yes,
Mhm.
high risk doing both these surgeries within 6 months, but I don't have a womb anymore. The breasts aren't needed for the child." And
Right.
she like, "Well, most women that I don't live through my breasts. I'm still a woman. And the breast didn't give me a husband by now, so I don't think it's gonna happen. So
I
you
can't
can
with you.
have it all." Okay, so
Right. Right.
they put me on the little watch list and had me they like, "She needs counseling because there's something wrong with her." Now, I know I'm a little off anyway, but I wasn't that off. I
Right.
got um, so we go in for that surgery, July 2020. So mind you, I just had a surgery March. July 2020, having surgery. Come out, my hands turn blue.
Oh my goodness.
They recognize Raynaud's for the first time, but it took them 15 hours to figure that out. My
Right.
mom said she was not taking me home because my hands were not blue when I came in. She said, "All
Right.
you supposed to do was take her breast. What happened?" So I come out of that. The infectious disease doctor said, "You don't have COVID, but there's something wrong with your blood work. You need to see a rheumatologist." See the rheumatologist in August, do the lupus panels, all that because as soon as he saw the blood work, he said, "It's lupus. I just don't know which one."
Okay.
All the
Okay.
tests came back. Because at first he said it might be connective tissue. He didn't know, but it looked like lupus to him. And when it came back August 2020, discoid lupus. And when I found out, I was with one of my best friends and my mom, and I thought my life was over because the couple of people that I knew that had lupus
Right.
were wheelchair bound.
Mm.
So that's all I thought. I'm like, I went from the social butterfly to now I'm a housefly because of COVID and all of my issues, and I'm learning about all of these medical conditions when I had never been to hospital, for anything. So
Right.
it was just very earth shattering, and it just changed my life totally around. But
Right.
I believe that your phone listens to you because once I started learning about all these things, the Lupus Foundation of America started popping up
Mhm.
and I started looking at it, but I wasn't ready yet. I still had other issues going on. I
Sure.
kept telling them that it's something else wrong with me, but they just said, "Oh, it's lupus, it's lupus." Well, come to find out I had dysphagia. I was having issues swallowing.
Mm.
When I would eat sandwiches, things bread, and they did all that testing. And they said, "Oh, the lupus is attacking your throat." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, but that's still something else,
Right.
wrong with me. You're not listening." So I was learning about gaslighting and
Mhm.
advocating for myself then they still were talking about that I was overweight, high blood pressure still.
Mm.
And I kept saying there's something wrong because I don't have my appetite back. I go up and down. I'm not sleeping well.
Mhm.
But then they said, well, perhaps you have sleep apnea. So I got tested for sleep apnea. I have a CPAP machine. I don't think it's working, but hey, I stay on it for this whole little trial thing with my insurance and see what happens. Then I kept having issues with my feet, but I
Mm.
thought it was the Raynaud's.
Okay.
Come to find out it was neuropathy.
Mhm.
So as they did the neuropathy, then they kinda started listening to me and started sending me to these different specialists. So
Mm.
came to find out, I have lupus anemia. I could have told you that. There's something else wrong with me. So then they did the rooter to the cleanse with the endoscopy and the colonoscopy at
Right.
the same time and
Mm.
found gastritis, internal hemorrhoids, and a hernia. Now, I would have issues with the top of like from my rib cage down to my stomach when I would get out of cars or turn hard. But since I'm, a full figure woman, I just called it a fat girl pain. I didn't know I really had something wrong with me until
Right.
I went to the specialist. So at this time, I'm like, I don't want to go to see anybody else, but I needed to go to the dentist. Now, the thing with the dentist, in 2018, I had 2 cavities, and we were trying to figure out why, because I usually am the poster child. I was like, "Wow, where's the cavities coming from?" Well,
Right.
as we're looking back through my paperwork, it was the lupus. It
Mhm.
was the lupus showing itself then, but no one was looking at me holistically.
Right.
As we're looking at everything, I've had it since I was about 15, 16. I've always had issues with light.
Mm.
Um, They just call me a vampire. I don't like turning the lights on. I don't even use the lights in my office. I have a bay window in my office. That's good enough.
Right.
I had issues with depression. Um, I always had issues with joint inflammation, but they just kept telling me it was because I was
Mm.
fat. So it's been around me the whole time, but looking at me holistically just wasn't in the mix yet. But I've learned a lot, um, advocating for myself, and then as I became a volunteer with the Lupus Foundation of America, my first walk I did in 2022, I did it virtually. It was just my mom and my aunt Shishi. We walked around the neighborhood.
Mhm. Mhm.
2023, they said do a Facebook fundraiser, and I was like, that's not gonna work. Well, I ended up being the top fundraiser, and my team came in
Look at that.
second. Cut
Look
the
at that.
ribbon.
Look at that.
I was like, "Okay." And so then they asked me to be a warrior, panelist at the Lupus and You,
Mhm.
session, so I did that. Then once I did that, they asked me to be an ambassador, so I
Mhm.
became an ambassador, and then as I was going out and meeting people, I was realizing that I could meet women at different levels because of all the trauma that happened to me. I had to get, grief counseling to release the pain of the person I was.
Sure.
I had to get just straight mental health counseling because it was so much trauma. I just kept saying, "I'm a strong black woman. I'm a strong black woman," and not taking into consideration what had happened to me.
Right. Right.
Um, so I was going through that. I was having anxiety attacks. I didn't want to go outside. It was just like too much. So I was going through a lot. But as I spoke about it and was able to share my story, I was really meeting people where they were that was coming to the table. I was like, um, I think let me join some support groups. So I joined, I started tuning into you.
Thank
And
you.
some other fabulous warriors. And then I asked the Lupus Foundation, could I, be in training to be a support group leader. So that just kicked off in January. I learned more about advocacy going to the advocacy summit,
Right.
going to talk to Congress. Um, I had reached out to the county council here in Maryland, and they gave me the proclamation last year. But this year they asked me to come in and they presented it to me. So
Beautiful.
that was great. So it's been an up and down journey,
Mhm.
but I'm just thankful for the different pockets of people I have around me because, of course, my mom, who is just God sent,
Right.
she's done so much for me. And then I have my church family, my line dancing family. Like when I was in the hospital, my college buddies were just showing up at the door,
Mhm.
and my work family. It was just amazing to see. And as I met more Lupies, just learning how all of our stories need to be told, I just kept feeling as though since I wasn't on like the highest medicine or hospitalized, that nobody wanted to hear my story. But
Mhm.
the more I share, the more I see that some people need to hear because that's going to enable them to speak. A lot of my loopy friends have been gaslit so much they don't want to even say anything. So I just take it upon myself to do as much as I can so I can stand in the gap. for them. Now, sometimes, as I'm learning as today, it could be tiring. You can have one of my church members say you can have compassion fatigue. So I'm working on a better balance. So
Yeah,
I can be
absolutely.
better. But
Absolutely. I know
that's
you
my
you
story.
hit so many strong points. One I really want to talk about tonight is you said you kept saying to yourself that you're a strong black woman. And I feel like sometimes in our culture, we really shoot ourselves in the foot trying to be so strong for everyone and not allowing our body to heal or even be weak at any point. How do you combat that? How are you able to combat that?
It took a lot. I
Mhm.
had to realize that I give, I don't know how to receive. So,
Mm,
and being incapacitated for about a year before I was able to actually stand on my own, I had to learn that I have to ask for help and then I have to be able to explain it clearly enough so people can understand.
right.
When I say I'm tired and then you ask me the next day I say I'm fatigued, that's two different things.
Hmm.
I had to explain to them where they are in their walk to
Right.
be able to understand
Right.
what they're going through. And me building that empathy and
Hmm.
compassion, it allowed me to calm down that angry woman that was inside saying, I don't need anybody, I could do this. It's just
Hmm.
my mom and I against the world. I had to realize that God made me this social butterfly because I'll be able to spread, you know, his gospel and what he put me on earth for. Yes, is it a hard journey? Yes, but as my aunt Shishi says, everyone has their own cross to bear, and this is mine.
There
And I'm
you go.
standing in my truth, and I'm going to fight this. And I pray that I'm here when they find a cure. But if not, they gonna remember who I am.
Hello, somebody. I love it. I love it. I love how you have gone through so much and you are still here smiling and able to look back at that and say, look, I've overcome.
Yes,
And not being ashamed of it, like most people would be ashamed of everything that they had to go through. But you're here today telling your story, making your testimony, and that makes a difference.
yes, because a lot of people in my community didn't even know what lupus was.
Right.
Or if they did know, they would say, "Oh, it was somebody that had it, but I didn't really know what it was, and I didn't pay attention." So
Right.
I try to spread as much awareness as possible. As one of the TikTok trends say, "You're gonna be sick of me,"
Mm.
'cause
I
everything
love it. I
I'm
love it.
doing is going to promote lupus awareness. Because if you want to get to know me, then you're gonna need to know what I'm going through. And it always just takes me back to when I was in ICU. This man kept walking past my room every day. He had a family member on the same hall, and he stuck his head in one day and he said, "Who are you?" And
Mm,
I was just looking at him because I was in so much pain. I didn't understand. And he started speaking to my mom. He said, "It's a light coming from her room, and there's so
mm.
much joy and laughter. Everybody that comes
Oh,
in
wow.
comes out happy, and I just need to know what is going on in this room." And I was in so much pain, I didn't understand at that moment in time, but as I look back through my short journal entries, because my hands were hurting so much, I couldn't really journal like I used to, but I just remember that man saying that it
Mm,
was a light coming from my room. So even through that initial pain, I was still sharing the gospel. I was still sharing my pain, even though I didn't know what was wrong with me. I did bring some sort of joy to that man during the time of his need with his family members. So I know God is using me. It's
absolutely.
just standing in that gap and going where he leads me. Sometimes I wonder why, but I have to keep walking and keep believing that I'm here for a purpose and what I have to say matters to somebody. If I just touch one person, that's what I say every day. I wake
Absolutely.
up, I said, "Thank you, God, for allowing me to see another day." Lupus, what we doing today? And then I'm gonna touch somebody today with my message.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love your attitude. I love your spirit. I love everything about you. I love you being my walking partner.
Yeah.
You saying that you could not walk and so many things that you have went through. Did you how did you change your mindset? I know for me, um, just a little bit of my story is that when I couldn't walk, I vowed that when I could, I wouldn't stop. So, how did you change your own mindset to really get to the point where now you're doing the walk and you're, leading the walk, not only in funds, but also in spirit and physical activities? How did you change your mindset to get to that point?
It was actually my social media presence. Before I went through all I did in 2020, now mind you, I don't drive. I was doing go-go fitness classes. It's a group here that we do Zumba moves to go-go music.
Mhm.
I also was doing salsa classes at my job. I was doing yoga at my job.
Mhm.
I was line dancing. I was all somewhere. I was doing something every day. And I was trying to get up to a point that I could do several 5Ks in a year. So
Wow.
I was active. Now, my body didn't really look like I was active because I've always been a full figure woman, but I was very active. So to go from all of that to nothing, many people kept like saying, "Man, where are you? What happened to you?" But I wasn't ready to share because I wasn't fully accepting everything that had happened to me. And I'm like, why are these people looking to me for encouragement? I need encouragement, but I wasn't telling them what's happening to me, so they weren't able to reciprocate. And that's going back to that receiving and giving. But
Mhm.
then I kept saying, if I could just walk to the bus stop, because if I have to go back into work, I have to be able to walk from my apartment to the bus stop because I don't have the money to do Lyft every day to work
Right.
back and forth because I work in DC about $25 a day, so that's $50 a day. The bus is $10 a day. You're gonna need to walk, honey, and now. So
Get it
you
together.
kept giving challenges. You kept saying, okay, this month do 15 minutes, or the next month we were walking a mile, or the next month you always had something when we were moving. And then you had the Fit Fridays. So I was doing the Fit Fridays, and I was so proud of myself as I was doing those little incremental things. And I'm like, I think I can do this because that first walk I did, I barely made it back.
Mm.
I cut the ribbon. I had to sit down to get myself together to walk. By the time I came back, they had taken down all the decorations.
Wow.
They had to pump back the arch back up so they could take the photos because I was the star. They had
Right.
to pump it
Yeah.
back up, and I was just so disappointed in myself. I was
Mm.
crying. I was like, "I can't believe this. I brought all these people out here, and I can't even do it." But it was a core group of my friends and family that kept walking with me, and they was like, "Kim, you can do it." So I reached out to you and I was like, "What else are you doing?" And you just kept doing different things and we started getting closer. I was calling you my stalker because anytime you were live doing something, I was like, "What you doing? I want to do it. What you doing?"
Oh,
And we became closer that way. And this last year, I led the walk for
look at
DC.
you.
I walked around. I actually volunteered with a good church friend of mine. We volunteered in Baltimore, and then I actually came and volunteered at your walk.
Listen, right,
And
exactly.
yeah,
I
so
love it.
it was just knowing that I had to get back to the person that I was that day. I'm not going to ever be that person I was, but I'm still Kim. I mean, I'm still the person God made me to be. I might not be able to hang out or be at everybody's function like I used to be. I used to be everywhere for everybody, but now I have to learn how I need to be here for me because I'm pouring out so much that I need to have time to sit down and have it pour back into me. And
Ooh.
that's the fight I have because I always say I'm single, no kids. I should be able to help everybody
Mm.
because they have so much going on. But
You
God
got
has
a lot
given
going
me
on.
God has given me the gifts, yes, but I have to learn how to rest. He did give us a day of rest.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I say it again. I love the spirit. I think that sometimes we forget that our mind has such control over our bodies,
Mhm.
and the way that we change the way we think about what we're going through really makes a difference.
Mhm.
And those little steps, those little things count to make you feel like you have accomplished something and that you're not having some type of imposter syndrome. You're telling somebody something, one thing, and then you can't do it. No, little steps, step by step, inch by inch. My mother used to say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
And that's how life is with lupus. You got to do everything one little second at a time, inch by inch, step by step. Um, I think that what inspires me with you is that you are so open.
Mm.
And I know that you've always been giving because I can feel that from you. Anybody who speaks to you can see the light from you. But how do you learn not to fall into a depression when you're overstimulated yourself? Does that make sense? Does that
Yeah.
question make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So it really took a counselor because I kept so much inside because as I used to say in one of the Bible studies that I taught, everybody's wearing a mask.
Right.
So I always had my mask on. Either I was go fitness Kim, I was line dancing Kim, I was work Kim, I was this best friend's Kim, I was my mom's daughter. I didn't I never showed myself alone. I didn't think I was worth it.
Mm,
A
mm,
lot of it stemmed from my dad not being in my life. Um, we would talk, but not that much. He really came back into my life when I went through what I went through in 2020 because we thought I was going out of here. So we're still working on that, but that abandonment
sure,
was
sure.
really a negative spot for me, and I keep holding on to that because I'm like, if my father didn't want me, why would anybody else? So that kind of put a negative spin. As I was speaking to my counselor, she said, you know, you have cognition issues. She's like,
Hmm.
you have cognitive dissonance. She's like, when I speak, she was like, "You're so powerful." She was like, "You're encouraging me, and I'm the counselor." She was like, "But when I'm testing you, you're failing everything. It's saying you're severely depressed, you're severely
Mm,
anxiety." And she was like, "What is going on?" But it took an extra 4 sessions for her to break through because I still had my mask on.
sure.
But learning that what I feel isn't always true because I thought people were saying that I was a light just because, you know, hey, it's something nice to say. Like, I didn't believe when my mom would tell me I was pretty. I'm like, "You're my mom. Why wouldn't
You
you
have to
tell
say
me?"
that, mommy. Yeah.
But then once I started seeing people on the news and stuff and the issues they were having with their parents, I said, "Oh, well, okay, well, maybe she is telling me something true." So, through the counselor, she started breaking through the wall I had built up. And she really showed me the deficits in my life that I had to sit down and realize how blessed of God that I truly was, and that I don't have to learn how to do most of the things I do. Many people are studying how to speak freely, studying how to share their stories, sharing how to get across. It's natural to me.
Hmm.
So to be able to have this speaking gift and use it properly
Right.
is it's just amazing that, he bestowed it upon me, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't see anything special about me because it's natural.
Right.
So, I just did a lupus gala with a young lady who did her own walk, did her own documentary, her own book, and her own gala. I was like, "Wow, I wanna do something like that in Prince George's County." So, the Lupus Foundation sent me down there as a representative, and I was just honored to be there, and I
Mhm.
had called her before the event to ask her, you know, "What do you want me to say on the program?" And she was like, "I seen you somewhere before." I said, "Well, what event did you go to?" And she said, "Oh, I went to the Lupus and you in November." I said, I was there. It was a small room, so I should recognize who you are." I said, "Okay, here's a tip." When they broke into 2, it was a disability session and it was a tell your story session. Which session did you go to? And she said, "Oh, I want you to tell her your story. It was this captivating woman speaking. I was
Boom.
taking her every word. I wasn't even able to fill out the sheet of paper that she wanted us to or to even truly do every step she was talking about because she had taken over the whole room. I said, "Well, golly, because I know I ran that session, but that's not me. I didn't see none of that."
Right,
So
right, right.
when I went to her event, it was very intimate, and I was able to see people's reaction. It
Mm.
was men crying, it was women crying, it was a line of people afterwards stopping to speak to me and ask me, and I said, "Wow, I guess I do have an impact on people," and then I have to realize that it is really happening and that I need to step back and really grasp and know that it's really God because I tell you, I just be talking. I'm an only child. Only child, I'll talk to some teddy bears. I stand on my balcony and talking to the birds. I mean, but to realize the impact that I have, I see why I'm in the position I'm in because I can express some things that people aren't able to because they've been gaslit so much. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I love how you shared that you actually went to a counselor, as you go to a counselor. You take care of those things that we see as trauma, and you work through them. It's part of getting that mind right so that your body can act right. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So I love that part of it. So I want to be respectful of your time. I want to see if there's anything on Instagram. Miss Parker says she couldn't do what everyone else does, but it's at her own pace.
yeah.
Absolutely, you
Yeah, I
can't.
had to learn that because I wanted to do everything you was doing because I love you so much. But
Oh, I
I
love you
had to
too.
realize that you've been in this for a while yourself.
Yeah.
And the fact that you've gotten this far and you're able to inspire people because I had joined an Ohio support group through my lupus team that I'm on. And they're actually out of Dayton. And I was born in Dayton, Ohio on an Air Force base because my father was military and I've been joining them, just trying, just learning because different groups you learn different things.
Sure.
And one of the members did a presentation on the sensitivity to light and sunscreens and stuff. And when she did the references, it said lupus and color. I said, "Hold up."
Wait a minute, girl.
I said, "That's what she was like, yeah, I went on. She's a wonderful person and she does
Oh,
and she just, she was just speaking of you." I said, I felt so proud. I said, "I know her."
I love it. I love it. I
So
love
just
it.
know that, everything you're doing is powerful and it's moving across the world, I believe. But to actually
Um,
see that just come up in a group that I was just in randomly was
right,
just amazing to me because I know how much you mean to me personally. But to
right.
see that in her, she had about 3 or 4 references and your website was a
Love it.
reference. I was just like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I love. God puts you places where you need to be. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And it's amazing. Like you, I've often wondered, like, why are you all looking at me? But I don't know. My conversations with God are so different from everybody else's. I'm just like, yo, God, what you want me to do? What's up? When I was when I was diagnosed, I just was like, yeah, okay, so I got this stuff. What the heck I got to do with it? Am I
Mhm.
supposed to just sit here and cry over it, or do I help somebody else? So I love to hear that. I love to hear that other people are garnishing that love and affection to help others through me.
Yes.
So it's so amazing to see.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
you never really see it until someone points it out,
Right.
you know. And
Mhm.
when they do point it out, you have to, you just be humble and you take it. It's almost like you were saying with the help. I think most lupus warriors are kind of type A personality. They don't want to ask for help.
Mm.
They don't want anybody to know their business.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But there comes a time that we just have to stop, where God puts us flat on our belly.
Yes.
We're prostrate on the floor, and we have to learn that we have to ask for help, and we have to be able to accept it and receive it in our lives. Because I
That's
think
hard.
asking is one thing.
I was
Receiving
keeping a list of everybody that was bringing me stuff, so I could pay them back. And
So you can pay them back.
when my mom and others started realizing that, they're like, "Do you not know how much you poured into our lives before this through teaching Bible study, through your poetry, through speaking at church, speaking in other places? This is us blessing you. God is allowing us to, pour back into you. What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Oh, well," I was just like, "Well, once I get back to work, I can work some overtime and I could pay everybody back."
Always giving. Always giving. And then people got to shove it down your throat for you to receive it.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And I get and part of that I do believe is partly our upbringing,
Mhm.
our culture. Being a Christian woman, have you found it hard to deal with some issues around church and you having a chronic illness?
Most of the time, it's people don't truly listen. They're so wrapped up in what's going on, um, that they don't hear me. So
Mm,
they'll say, "Oh, God will fix it. Just pray about it. Um, I'm praying for you. Um, you don't look sick." And I'm like, "Well, actually, because I'm not sick, I'm chronically ill. So
big difference.
that's a different perception, but okay." Or they'll say, "Oh, well, if you do the Daniel fast, well, Daniel didn't have a chronic illness, but okay, all right, okay, um, you know, if you do more studying." I'm like, I study daily. I do my devotions and I study because I love reading the Bible. That's why I'm a Bible study teacher.
Teacher,
But
I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to do.
yeah, I'm like, if you actually read like you're suggesting that I read, you see that they go through trials and tribulations, Old and New Testament. So this is my trial and my tribulation, and I'm standing to tell you what's going on. But a lot of times I just try to stop them and say, "How are you?"
Yeah, yeah,
And then once they start expressing how they feel, then I can then kind of bring them to like, "Oh, well, this is how I feel. And you're feeling like this today. I feel like that every day."
right.
And I haven't
Yeah,
even like I get up, I have to contemplate what's hurting before I get out of bed. When I take a shower, brush my teeth, wash my face, I have to take a nap most days so I can continue on in the day. So it's as I start breaking it down, then that kind of spirituality, religiosity kind of goes away, and you humanize it. And then once I bring them to that point, then I can say, "But God is good because I'm standing here talking to you. It's only by His grace and His blessings that's upon me that I can even speak to you now." And so then I just try to come back around it that way. Because sometimes people are just hurting and they
yeah,
don't know how to express it and they're hiding just like I was hiding. So I just try to change it around the best I can. It doesn't work all the time, but
it
I
works
try.
enough. Yeah, it works enough. Absolutely. I love that. I love that. So we're gonna start wrapping it up because I want to be respectful of your time and I know you're tired. I'm tired. I've been traveling, so I know we're both just overexerted at this point.
Basketball is on
I
tonight
know.
as well, the Pacers and the
Okay, yeah,
Knicks.
but I just need to know who you're rooting for.
Well, see, Raquel,
Well, I'm gonna need you to get on the right team now. Don't you play? We
I
being
I know where your heart is. I know where your heart is, but I love SGA. I'm glad we won last night, and hopefully he gonna get this
Oh
MVP.
my goodness.
But as far as the East is concerned, Halliburton is my boy. So I'm
Look at
sorry.
here now.
I'm
Look at
sorry.
here now. Okay, we're gonna come back
But
and
I
we're gonna
like Josh Hart. I like Josh Hart though.
yeah, okay,
He's
okay.
Mike likes and he's a Commanders fan, so I love Josh Hart.
Look at here. I hate to tell you, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. So I'm a straight from Brooklyn girl, so it's gonna happen. I remember going to the games as a child, so it's got to happen in my lifetime. I can't take it anymore.
Understandable, understandable.
So, Ms. Parker on Instagram says, I found out at 24 years old that I had lupus. I found out the same day I found out I was pregnant with
Ooh.
my son. It definitely changed my life. Absolutely.
And I'm learning more that um, you find out like around college sometimes because of the transition and
Hmm.
pregnancies and weddings. So I would like to go. I went to UMES. So I want to, in my heart of hearts, take over the shore. When I went to that lupus gala, it was in Cambridge. So I would like to visit Maryland Eastern Shore, Salisbury State, Chesapeake College, and try to build some hubs in that area because a lot of those people come up to this area to go to the hospital and go to rheumatologists because there's not a lot on the shore. So
Yeah.
that's my dream to take over down there because if we can reach them in those college areas doing health fairs, at least you can be aware of it. And as you're journeying through life, if things pop up, it might not be lupus, but it could be autoimmune related.
Yeah. Any type of chronic illness at this point. I
Hmm.
think after doing things like the summit and everything like that, it makes you see the need
Yes.
all over the world
Hmm.
for people just to be seen, heard, and understood.
Yes.
You know. So, if you could give lupus warriors three pieces of advice, what would they be?
Advocate for yourself in all arenas, your family, your job, your doctors. Advocate, advocate, advocate.
Okay.
Second, whoever you pray to, learn more about them. I'm a Christian, so God, Jesus, because in those insomnia nights when my mom was asleep or TikTok algorithm was slowing down, I wasn't entertaining anymore. It was just me and God talking, having a little talk with Jesus. So have be centered by your faith and watch what you put into your spirit.
Mm.
A lot of times you're going to places and it's a negative environment. If you feel it, just remove yourself. If you're
Mhm.
speaking to someone that you used to speak to and it's just negative, remove yourself graciously, but
Mhm.
you're on a different path. You're going in a different direction. You have to let that go. Just think about who you're around. The more you're around positive people,
Mhm.
it
It makes
centers
a
you
difference.
more. Hmm.
It definitely makes a difference.
Hmm.
And I think sometimes we get so caught up in watching what we put in our mouths and on our body that we forget we got to watch what we allow in our spirit. Absolutely,
Hmm. Hmm.
absolutely.
Because a lot of people say, "Oh, girl, let me pray for you." I'm like, "What you praying for?"
Right? I didn't ask you to pray for me.
And they be like, "Oh, let me put my hand. No, don't touch me because
Yeah.
I don't know
Mm-mm.
what's going on with you."
I don't know what kind of spirits you trying to transfer over.
Right. So, you gotta watch that sometime because you can feel it, and I'm like, "No, I'm okay."
Yes, girl.
Uh,
Because some people, you can see them coming from across the room.
yes.
Woo, no, get that stench out of here. I
Yeah.
love
No,
it.
thank you.
I love it. I love it. Tell us where everybody can find you on the internet so I can put it in the chat for everyone.
Okay, so on Facebook is Kim Beautifly Boddie, Beautifleye. That name stems from when I thought I was going to be a spoken word artist because I like to write poetry and people said I had beautiful eyes, so I like butterflies, so I came up with Beautifly. Um, Everywhere else, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube,
Mhm.
whatever else is out there, I'm pretty much on it, and it's Beautifly314 because 314 is my birthday, March 14th. Yes, yes, yes.
So it's BEATIF.
Leye
Oh, oh. And what's the numbers again? 314.
314. Mhm.
Love it. I'm typing stuff as we do it.
No problem.
So y'all excuse me. I ain't big with. I don't have nobody helping me doing no little things.
It's all right. They'll find me. They'll find me.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I'm so happy that you were able to come on and speak. I know we discussed doing some stuff for the DMV area, so y'all need
Yes,
to look out for that.
yes, yes. We're gonna be on the map.
Right, to see us a little bit more and have a little bit more discussions about lupus and about just coping with life itself.
Yeah,
I
yes.
think it's definitely needed in our area.
'Cause we are black women first, so we
Absolutely.
need it. We need
Absolutely.
it.
So thank you so much, Kim. Do you
Thank
have
you so much.
anything?
I love you so much. So thank you.
Oh, I love you more. I love you more. Do you have anything you want to leave us with? A good word or what?
Be bold. Be you. You're awesome. And if no one told you today that they love you, I love you, God love you, you can do it. Advocate for yourself.
I love it. Thank you, Kim. I love you, girl.
Love you
I
too.
hope y'all were listening because Kim done gave us some good little nuggets here from her story to her lifestyle and everything. So
Oh,
I
one more
so
thing.
appreciate you. Hmm.
On Spotify, I have a podcast called Cab Journey, KAB Journey. Um, so KAB, Kimberly Annette Boddie, is my cab, but a cab with a K, not a C, and you're on my journey. So Cab Journey podcast. Thank you very much.
I got you. I hope y'all got that. All right. It's in the chat. So make sure you guys follow Kim. And Kim, thank you so much for coming on. I so appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Love your spirit. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Guys, I hope y'all were listening. I hope y'all were listening because there was so many nuggets up in there. If you didn't hear it, come on back tomorrow and re-listen again and take your notes. Take your notes as you listen to everybody's story that comes on here because we all have a story. And even though our stories are different, they're pretty much the same. So I thank you all for tuning in. And I hope to see you tomorrow at 2:30 when we'll be talking about embracing wellness beyond lupus. So thank you everybody for tuning in here on YouTube and on Instagram. I love that you guys are still coming out and make sure you share this with someone who you think will be able to get something from it. So thank you everybody and I'll talk to you soon. Happy Wednesday.